Good morning, everybody. This is Jill Rother of the Phoenix team at Keller Williams Realty. I have today a fabulous Mark Collard. He's Coach Collard, as we call him.
Right on.
And today, Coach, what we're going to be talking about is something that has not really come from any of my clients, but it's important for homeowners to know, and it's something that we feel here at Keller Williams Realty East Valley, that it's important that you understand the little authority that banks actually have over the state of Arizona, when we're actually going to go ahead and talk about notes and deeds of trust.
Right on.
So homeowners, please stick with us on it, because it's going to be important for you to understand, where the banks are coming from and why really they don't have very little authority, should I say.
In fact, zero.
Yeah. So, Coach, you want to take it away and talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so let me go high level real quick. I'm going to talk a little bit technical, and then I'll break it down for everybody. Because I know everybody's not trained in this. In the state of Arizona, we have a statute in Arizona that basically says how we process foreclosures.
Right.
And in the state of Arizona, we happen to, from a residential standpoint, residential homes, happen to be a notice of default state, or what's called a note and deed of trust state. Meaning, all of you homeowners out there that pay your mortgage every month, you don't actually pay your mortgage. You pay your note, which is your IOU.
Because we don't have mortgages here.
Correct. We have notes and deeds of trust.
Right.
So the note and deed of trust is actually a combined two instruments, the note being the IOU that you, the homeowner, promised to pay the bank on.
Okay.
Right? And by itself, it's nothing more than a written contract signed.
Correct.
The other piece, the deed of trust, is a security instrument that works as the lien that secures itself against the property.
Okay.
And the note and deed of trust together are what we think is a mortgage.
Okay.
So we don't actually pay mortgages, we pay notes and deeds of trust.
Right, because it's just kind of an industry term that's thrown around, and it's the easiest for people to understand.
Everybody's been talking about mortgages forever, and so it's just easy conversation.
So people pay rent, or you pay a mortgage.
That's it.
Right.
Even though it's a deed of trust and a note.
Correct. We're a deed of trust and a note.
Okay, so that's the technical part of it.
Okay.
Now, the reality and where it comes into short sale conversation, why it's important to your homeowners and all you guys out there, is because one of the false thought processes in the industry is that the bank's in charge of the short sale transaction. Right,
that it's all up to the banks, that they're the ones making all the decision.
And in fact, we've learned not the case, right?
Right.
like no, you didn't. The case and the actual fact is, the lender's only power in the entire transaction is to do one thing, and it's to approve a net figure on what they'll accept as a short sale.
Right.
Beyond that, they're not in control of anything. So, I've had people tell me that, well, the bank went out and changed the locks to my home and changed different things. Well, I didn't say that's a place of authority. That's what's called a remedy that's in that 12-page deed of trust.
That you probably never read.
Right.
No
most
one
of us
ever
never.
reads it.
I read like 200 of them, but that's part of why I know this. They have legal remedies in the case of notice of default, or in the case of default, where they can exercise something to protect the property.
Sure.
One of those is if the property appears to be abandoned, they can go out and change the locks.
Right.
Well, if the property's not abandoned, or you're still available, they just thought it was abandoned, you have ownership to the property.
That's right.
Go back and rechange the locks.
That's right.
If you're offended by it, otherwise, who cares?
Right.
But here's really the point. In the short sale negotiations, what happens is, a lot of times a lender will call a real estate agent and say, I'm sorry, we can't accept this. We're going to do this, this, and this.
Right.
And the agent does what I call the squirrel play, which is just roll over. They just roll over and say, yes, Mr. Lender, yes, sir, whatever you say, sir. And we've learned that that's not the case. So one of the techniques we use, knowing that the note and deed of trust allow for the real estate agent to actually work as a facilitator and negotiator, to control and direct the lender themselves.
Right.
The lender has no authority other than the remedies according to the deed of trust.
Right.
And in the deed of trust state, the homeowner is actually the owner of the home.
Right.
Until the property's foreclosed on at auction or repurchased by somebody else,
correct,
the homeowner is still the homeowner. There is nobody else that can make the decisions on the home or tell anybody anything to do. Doesn't mean they won't call and collect from you, but they've got no authority.
Right, and most people, even who work at the banks, who take your wonderful phone calls, they don't even know. They've never even read a deed of trust. They have no idea. They're just puppets for the bank, and that's all they're doing, is they're reading on a screen, and they're telling you.
Talking about procedure number 9.
That's right, and they go by procedures, and what we're looking for is people to go do business decisions.
Business decisions and create solutions.
Create solutions. That's all we're looking to do, is we're not looking to get in a little bit of a war with them. We're just trying to create a solution, because you know what? At the end of the day, the bank has two options. They're either getting a mortgage payment or they're not getting a mortgage payment.
They got two choices: mitigate loss or foreclose on the property.
Right, and take a lot more less of money for the.
And the answer is always going to be, we want to mitigate loss.
That's right.
But it sounds like from the lender's side, no, we can't do that.
Correct.
So let me give an example of something real quick, and this will really help the homeowners out there understand this. If any of you have applied for a loan modification out there, you've experienced this.
Which is
you
a lot.
call and you ask questions around the loan modification, and you get somebody read the 4 procedures to you, and they say, here's how we handle that, and then they request this mountain of information from you. You fax it in. They actually never look at it, but they make sure the documents that they requested are there.
Correct.
And then they pass along the chain for 90 or 120 days, and nothing happens to it, and it's sitting on somebody's desk in a pile of 500, waiting for somebody to look at it and approve or disapprove it.
Right.
Well, here's how crazy that is. They just have to simply look at it, identify the income to debt ratio, and if you're at 31% or better, you qualify.
Right.
Like it's already been established, and it's already known out there.
It's gross.
And it's gross income, just like a mortgage qualification would be. But because they're all disempowered, and following procedures, they're not actually creating solutions or looking to see if you qualify. They're just working you along. So what happens is, subtly over time, the bank becomes boss because everybody's subject to their processes that are out of whack.
Correct.
What we've learned, especially for Jill, is that you and your team have figured out how to intercept that slow 120-day process up front and lead the lender to a faster decision. Now, even when they say no, you go up the chain and you escalate and you move things, and you let them know that, hey, you guys aren't the homeowners. Y'all can't make this decision for my person. My homeowner's the homeowner.
That's right.
It gets them out of collections mode, it gets them out of all sorts of modes, and it gets them to make a financial decision that benefits them, benefits the homeowner, benefits you, stimulates the economy. And
forget about all the garbage. Yeah, there's so many benefits to the short sale, and we honestly, as realtors, have to keep the bank on track, that they can't get off on all the tangents that they love to go through their procedure list. You know, and it's not uncommon, you know, Coach, that we have to go up to talk to VPs, sometimes presidents, you know, in order for somebody to make a business decision and create solutions.
Absolutely. And quite frequently we remind them that it's a note and deed of trust state, and that our homeowner is the boss. And we say, whatever conversation you just have is not valid, and you've got to shift that. And a lot of times they'll listen to us simply because we know more than they do. They don't know it's not a mortgage state, it's a note and deed of trust state. So it's a powerful technical difference that makes all the difference in the
Absolutely. And that was something I had a chance to learn just because of the great knowledge that Coach gave me here. Because I, even as a homeowner, even as a realtor, never even knew about it. That has been a huge wake-up call, and just given me so much more authority to take back and work these transactions the way they really is supposed to work.
Let me add one more piece since you say that. One of the dynamic pieces is, this is really explaining a mortgage versus a deed of trust in the big picture. A note and a deed of trust allows for a 90-day non-judicial process of trustee sale, which is what we all call the foreclosure auction. It's actually a trustee sale. So state statute allows that to happen. Filing notice of default, letting the homeowner know, it becomes public records, and then 90 days later they have a trustee sale and the property is auctioned off. During that time you can catch the mortgage up and reinstate it, etc., or catch the note and deed of trust up. On the mortgage side, in fact, if it were a mortgage, it would be a judicial foreclosure process. So it'd get tied up in the court system, and it would take 18 to 24 months just to move through to get foreclosed on.
So that wouldn't be very favorable for banks.
Exactly. That's why the banks don't ever want to call the note due or accelerate a loan, because state statute would shift that from a note and deed of trust into a mortgage automatically, and they just bought themselves 24 months court time.
And no payments can be made in that time. I mean, everything could be so much more disastrous.
We talk about the easy life. Yeah.
Well, great, Coach. I think we've hopefully given a lot more information, knowledge that my clients never even bothered to even want to know what's going on. So stay tuned more, because I'll have Coach back in the future to talk about a lot more issues, and we'll keep rolling. Have a great morning, and we'll talk to you soon. See you guys.